When I was a kid, I had a metal lunchbox that looked like a roll of lifesavers. My mom always packed me a half a peanut butter and honey sandwich and not much else, maybe some Fritos. She used to tell me I ate like a bird. I figured she meant she was pleased she'd never have to worry about me getting fat. In my family, fat was forbidden. I was always starving, but I liked beating my siblings at the skinny contest. All through elementary school, I had a best friend who was like a sister. Our imaginations fit perfectly together. She was bigger than me. Everyone was always bigger than me. Sometimes I wondered if I would have grown more if I had eaten a whole peanut butter and honey sandwich at lunchtime. Every day, when the bell rang after recess, my friend would zoom over to the lunchbox spot and she'd pick up both of our lunchboxes. She'd slowly walk toward the double doors, facing forward, but with one hand stretched out behind her, dangling my lunchbox. She never looked back. She knew I'd always catch up and grab it. I loved that routine. When her pervy brother crossed the line, I never forgave her for not protecting me. I thought she would have if she had cared more. I think that thought was actually meant for my birth mother. But I walked away from the friendship and never told my friend why. I always tried to be in good graces with people who were bigger than me when I was a kid, but I also didn't like having to. I thought big people tended to be unpredictable, and I hated how everyone had to figure out their moods and adjust to them. No kickball if the big kid wanted to play soccer. No chance at getting mom's attention if dad was in a shitty mood. I wondered if the key to being wanted was figuring out how to make big people nicer without them knowing you were doing it. Like if I wanted to play kickball, I'd tell the big kid I wanted to see how far he could kick that day. Or if dad was in a shitty mood, I'd act like the best damn girl on the face of the earth, one who eats like a bird. Being smaller was pretty embarrassing. I had to wait forever to be tall enough for the rides at Great Adventure. I couldn't trade bikes with anyone. People made fun of my tiny shoes. One year at the swim club, I got put in my older sister's group for the synchronized swimming performance. We did a Pink Panther-themed dance with pink tails safety pinned to the back of our bodysuits. I was okay with the outside of the pool choreography, but once we got in the water, I always thought I was going to drown trying to keep up. We were taught water safety, so I knew it could be hard to tell when someone's drowning, but it seemed strange that one of the lifeguards couldn't see the telltale signs. I think they just thought I was terrible at synchronized swimming. My sister's best friend was in the Pink Panther number 2. She was enormous. She wasn't fat, but she was tall and so mean. That made her super big in my eyes. She also had a blonde family. Where I grew up, it seemed like the town was meant more for the blonde families with preppy clothes from the Princeton shops than it was for the mishmash families with preppy clothes from the flea market. My mom would search for the Izod shirts with the holes close to the seams, or at least in the back. She'd repair them and act like the shirts looked brand new, but I figured everyone could tell. One time after soccer practice, my sister's enormous friend grabbed both of my hands and swung me around like a helicopter. Then she let go. I remember it as though my body spun through the air forever, but it was probably just one spin before I landed on my head. I ended up with a terrible concussion. My mom didn't realize it was bad until I couldn't come up with the words to ask for orange juice. I hated orange juice, so that was doubly concerning. I wondered how it would feel to be big enough to give a person a concussion. My head hurt for weeks, but my sister never walked away from her friend. I thought there must be a reason I was always outmatched. If I was meant to be around short people, I assumed the ultimate biggie, God, would have dropped me in another spot. Maybe China. For some reason, I knew people were smaller there. I settled on the belief that my job was to get big people to be nice to small people. That was back when doing the right thing was what you were supposed to strive for. Even after my sister's friend gave me a concussion, I still believed God would be more mad at her for being mean than he'd be mad at me for not getting her to be nice. Ironically, my dad was 6'6.5" tall. He was a full head above most people in a crowd. I couldn't fathom being able to literally look down on people. I'll never forget watching him wipe out on the ski mountain. It was like a tree coming down. I always wondered if the baby store where my parents got me knew it was going to be a hard sell convincing people I was my dad's daughter. He told a joke about the shop owners giving a discount because I was so little. People always laughed when he told it. He wasn't funny, but I was glad he felt sorry enough to take me anyway. To this day, I'm forced to keep looking for and looking out for big people. Who's going to help me put my bag in the overhead compartment? Who's going to grab the gluten-free bread off the top shelf at the supermarket? Who's going to pick me up and spin me around? The thing is, in 2024, metaphorically big people, people with power, are so far away from small people, so insulated, so solidly big. They only think of small people when it comes to budget cuts. That's when big blames small for being small in the first place. The metaphorically big have big lawyers, big patriarchy, big religion, big money, and zero curiosity. Why learn how to make space for small people when you can legislate making them even smaller? Well, I have to admit, I still try to make big people be nice to small people. Thank goodness I replaced God with my own higher power, and in her eyes, big people are puny when they're mean or greedy, even the blonde ones. In fact, especially the blonde ones. She reminds me that in the long run, small in community is stronger than big in a vacuum. We just have to get small people to stop hurting other small people in service of big, and show them there's room for all of us. And that's a pickle I've been chewing on since I had my Lifesavers lunchbox. Yeah.